you very much, Count Corley. I suppose this question, with just 8 months to go before 2016 is upon us, seeks to establish what the government is going to be able to achieve in terms of the development of the Moore Street site. The National Monument there acknowledges the fact that the state has quite correctly taken that property into ownership, but seeks to establish, as I said, what is going to be done about the birthplace of our Republic between this and 2016.
Well, just to give some background information, my primary function in this case arises from the preservation order that was placed on numbers 14 to 17 Moore Street under the National Monuments Act in 2007 in order to protect number 16 as the site of the final Council of War and final headquarters of the leaders of the 1916 Rising. The area surrounding the Moore Street National Monument is largely in private ownership and is not covered by the provisions of the National Monument Acts and is the subject of a grant of full planning permission by An Bord Pleanála. Dublin City Council has statutory responsibility under the Planning and Development Acts for all planning and development matters in the area. And with regard to the National Monument itself, the position is that the preservation order requires the consent of the Minister for Arts, Heritage and the Gaeltacht to be obtained for any works affecting the monument buildings. After extensive deliberations, ministerial consent was given to the owners in April 2014 for the creation of a 1916 commemorative centre in the monument buildings involving the full repair and restoration of the structures both internally and externally. Proposals that subsequently went before Dublin City Council late last year would have allowed the exchange of two modern 1990 buildings at numbers 24 and 25 Moore Street, currently used as a cleansing depot, in return for the full ownership of number 14 to 17 being transferred to the City Council. The transfer would have been accompanied by NAMA funding to cover the full cost of the restoration project and the proposed commemorative centre. And I have to say I was very disappointed that Dublin City councillors rejected these plans, which I believe provided a real opportunity to have the restoration work completed and the commemorative centre open in time for the centenary of the Rising in 2016. However, in order to ensure the long-term future of the National Monument, I have secured the approval of the Government for it to be acquired by the State, and this will bring the National Monument into public ownership and secure its long-term future. It would also facilitate the safeguarding and restoration of the buildings and the development of the proposed 1916 commemorative centre to be run as a public facility. My own department and the other parties involved are working to bring these matters forward as speedily as possible, and I will be reverting to Government in the coming weeks with the final proposals in this regard.
Deputy O'Farrell.
Thank you, Minister. And I suppose there was a large share of agreement between us in the run-up to the decision of Dublin City Council. But Dublin City Council's decision did change everything, regrettably. But we are, as they say, where we are. And I suppose in that respect, your response is a bit disappointing, because many people here have been signalling their concern over the last number of years that 2016 would come and we would not have done the sort of redevelopment work that is essential to this critical site. Now, Fianna Fáil has published, through the good offices of Senator Darragh O'Brien, Senators Diarmuid Wilson and Senator Mark Daly, the Moore Street Area Renewal and Development Bill, modelled on the Temple Bar, the very successful Temple Bar development proposal. Can I ask you, Minister, if you're not in a position today to give us any indication of what in fact will have happened at Moore Street by 2016, can you tell us that you will in fact accept this piece of Fianna Fáil legislation, which is aimed at achieving really positive results for the area?
Okay, well, the Deputy will appreciate that there are some fundamental matters that have to be dealt with before there is any question of getting the work underway in Moore Street. It's still in the so you can be assured that the intention is to have the restoration work completed and the commemorative centre up and running in the shortest possible time frame. How long that will take, I just can't say at present, but all options will be looked at with a view to delivering the project with the minimum of delay. And just just in relation to the proposal that you've mentioned there, my remit again is under the National Monuments Act is defined by the Preservation Orders of number 14 to 17. That's the National Monument. And plans or proposals for the wider area outside the confines of the National Monument site are the responsibility of Dublin City Council as the planning authority. Any legislative proposals for a new Temple Bar type approach to the Moore Street area, as announced by Fianna Fáil, would be a matter for the Minister for the Environment, Community and Local Government, into whose remit this matter would fall.
You're the Minister for Heritage, and we need you to be a leader. We need you to drive forward these particular plans. So it's not just a matter for the Minister for the Environment, it's a matter for you to take a leadership role. And as I say, my colleagues in the Seanad have brought forward this very positive piece of legislation, which is pretty broad and pretty all-encompassing in terms of the powers it would give to enable the site to be developed in the way that it deserves to be developed. Can I put it to you as well, Minister, that one of the difficulties here is that the plan that Chartered Lands had and that you supported and that I personally supported was rejected. But your department apparently had no plan B. And that's the difficulty that we have now. We've arrived at this juncture in relation to the birthplace of our republic. The government had no plan B in terms of what it would do if plan A went wrong, which it did. And now we're going to find that in reality nothing will be ready by Easter 2016 on Moore Street.
Minister.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to be clear. My role as Minister for Arts, Heritage and the Gaeltacht is to assess what is best for the National Monument, and the National Monument has been designated number 14 to 17. I do not have any powers under the National Monument Act to create a historical quarter in Moore Street. The reality is that the properties around the National Monument are in private ownership. They are not subject to my remit under the National Monuments Act, and the redevelopment plans for the area have received full planning permission from An Bord Pleanála. But the good news here is that we have the building, and I have to bring a proposal to government to develop this. The plans that were there for the centre, I thought they were fine plans, and I think that there would have been a tremendous facility in Moore Street. I've been down there; it's very derelict, and the plans that were in place, they were, they would have represented, a tribute to the leaders there, and I will, bring a memo to government, and it's my intention that the work will commence as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Question.